And we are live. What is going on, guys? I am Flint Masters, and welcome to this special HK Beatles podcast, where we will be ranking in honor of getting ready for the season 24 finale tomorrow. We'll be ranking the previous 23 Hell's Kitchen finales as voted by you guys, the fan base. I gave you the link to vote on my channel, and you guys have made your voices be heard. And what's going on? OTP Rose is here. I didn't know if you were going to make it. So what's going on? What's going on, Mason? It should be a fun stream. So yeah, chat. And the one reason why I wanted to do this was I'm interested to see how you guys rank the finale, because I was kind of curious, is like the winner, or is it like a good ending, or is it just something in between, or like the moment? So chat, while you guys answer that, let me ask Ultra that same question. So Ultra, how did you go about ranking these finales?
I ranked them as actual episodes because I feel like it's pointless to rank them for like what you think of the actual final two or the winner, because I think the opinions on that are pretty well discussed by not just us, but by the broader Hell's Kitchen community. So if we're ranking finales, I am ranking them by how I actually enjoy the episode, what most keeps me invested in actually watching it, because it's usually around the Black Jackets where my interest in a season will tend to peter out a tiny bit. Not that I'm not going to clock in at all for it. That's stupid. But it's just not as engaging as the first half of the season usually, where things are a lot more chaotic. I think it's partially because at this point in the season, the chefs are largely more competent. So you're just less likely to have any kind of massive flame out, terrible mistakes even. And not to mention, because it's somebody's direct dream on the line, most chefs, keyword most, tend to be a lot more professional in what they're doing here. So even the big fights are just not as likely to happen. So yeah, I'm going by what episodes gave me the best time personally at the highest, and which ones gave me the least good to talk about at the lowest.
And Gumball, I know you've only seen half the finales. What's your take on like the Hell's Kitchen finales? Again, that's kind of why we're doing this. Often considered like one of the more boring episodes, but like, so how do you kind of feel about the Hell's Kitchen finales?
Yeah, like I do feel like in general, it's like I feel like they're obviously not as interesting usually, largely because like again, there's not gonna be as much drama. There's not gonna be as much like big mistakes or like fights happening. Like it mostly feels like a by the numbers thing. I feel like there are some seasons where it is interesting, like to like figure out like who exactly is going to win between the two. I think that is obviously where a lot of the intrigue comes in. But aside from that, like I mean, I feel like for a lot of these finales, like the episode is just like waiting for like that moment of finding out, okay, who's actually going to win. Like I guess that's most of the intrigue really, but like the episode itself is like just kind of fine. Like you're mostly just waiting for that reveal.
Oh yeah, I gotta say, I love I think we all can agree. Am I the only one who every once in a while like acts like I'm at the Hell's Kitchen finale when I'm opening the door? I'm like, oh, I won the show or something like that. Reenact that. I can't be the only one.
I did a Hell's Kitchen Discord once where I did win, so I kind of got to experience that on a very, very virtual. I use my imagination for it.
I can't believe. Yeah, good. Same here. At least one person. I think it's just like yeah. Dude, that even like when you know who's gonna win, it's just like Megan, you still like get so like, oh my god, just in case. It's one of those things. So I can't wait to hear for that tomorrow. So yeah, guys, let's talk about the finale. These finales. And so yeah, you all just gave your predictions. Let's not waste any more time. We got 23 of these to go through, and at last place was not who y'all expected. So it's definitely not a good. Well, that's the thing about this. I feel like that's why it's last place. It's like not. I guess it's not like awful or anything. It's just so. What are we going to talk about this season? This season's finale. Ultra, you have some work to do, because the worst ranked finale, as shows by my fan base, is season 13 finale, Latasha versus Bryant. And yeah, Ultra, I'll go right to you. I mean, what's happened in this finale? Please tell me.
Frank gets kicked out of the kitchen, and that's about all I remember personally. I'll put it this way. Sterling is my favorite chef in all of Hell's Kitchen, and indeed reality television, I think, unless you count animated shows, in which case I've got to rethink my opinion there. But if we're talking like actual people, I love watching Sterling the most. So when he comes back on screen, it does brighten things up, but that's at most half of the episode. And even then, he's not the major focus throughout all of it anyway. So he's not that big a saving grace. And yeah, it's just kind of a dull, forgettable finale. I think it was a one and done that Latasha was winning anyways.
Yeah.
So if you're curious where I'd personally rank it out of 23, I had a 21. So
Okay, yeah.
It's pretty close to what everybody else said.
Yeah, so that's the thing, guys. I didn't do rankings for this reason. I didn't really know how to go about this, so I was kind of let you guys decide. But if I had to rank, probably the same thing. I think there's more finales that kind of actually pissed me off more, but it's season 13. Obviously, Latasha was winning. Like Frank got kicked out, but we already saw that happen 2 seasons prior, like with Mary kicking out Dan and Scott kicking out Jessica, so it wasn't nearly a thing. And like I guess this is the last time we ever saw Sterling on our screen, so I guess it's got that going for it. But yeah, really not much to say. Gumball, you've yet to see this season, but I'm interested. Or how much are you looking forward to seeson 13 compared to like bad seasons? It's so forgettable. Are you looking forward to that, or are you kind of looking forward to watching the quote bad seasons?
Yeah, I don't really have like a super strong opinion. Like I'd say like Sterling's probably like the one person I'm interested in seeing because he's someone who I have heard of, obviously on this stream, but also like from other HK discourse I come across, and like I understand he's supposed to be like a massive fan favorite on that season. So I guess like that's probably something to look forward to. But aside from that, like nothing really jumps out to me as something to excite me or get me ready for season 13.
Yeah,
So the person who wrote that at least Aaron didn't come back. Well, of course, with the exception of Motto, no chef who's ever quit Hell's Kitchen has come back for the final service. I'm pretty sure that's a formality in their contracts.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Yeah, and that's the thing, Gumball. Yeah, so just not really much to talk about. I feel like that's really what led to a bad ranking because even these quote bad finales are like bad winners. Like I guess it's at least something to talk about. I guess so. Yeah, so that's that. Last place is season 13. Now in second to last is actually not what you guys probably expect, but more so like okay, this isn't really that surprising at all in the slightest. The second worst finale in Hell's Kitchen history. Take your guesses in the comments. It is most people's least favorite season 16, but in this case, at least it wasn't the worst overall finale. Yeah, so kind of going along that same lines, Gumball, again, as you know, you haven't seen season 16, but everyone says how awful this season is. So like, how are you looking forward? Again, is it like kind of like looking forward in a way to see it, or is like you're kind of scared to watch it when you get there? How do you feel about it?
I mean, considering that it's not very high, and like, I don't really know that much about the season. Like, again, like I'm not really don't know that much about the seasons I haven't seen, so like I'm not really sure like what to look forward to or what to brace myself for, essentially. But like, I've heard from other people that season 16 is considered pretty bad, so I guess that's probably a reason for me to be worried. But like, I'm not 100% sure like what makes it like bad. Like, is it just like boring, or is it like or are there like just like unlikable people everywher?
Well, it's the latter, most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Like when Jem does his stuff, like if you remember people like we had Heather on here talking about people like Matt, Johnny, the blue team. Yeah, you'll have a field day with that when we get there. But we'll save that for another day. Ultra, someone made a good comment. I think maybe that's the reason why it's not last place. It's the least toxic episode. It's like, yeah, it's still like bad, and it's just like people hate the season, but at least it's like least toxic. And you do get like Ryan's like again, heroic victory, which like yeah, it's obvious, so it kind of takes away from it. So, but at least there's something. So, how do you kind of feel about this finale?
Okay, it's a low bar to claim that this is the least toxic episode of Hell's Kitchen. I'm like they're correct, but that's kind of like saying that. That's kind of like saying, let me think of an example here. That's like saying that No Guidance is one of the better songs by Chris Brown. True, I guess, but do you know this guy? Trust me, you can in fact do a lot worse than even No Guidance. I don't even like No Guidance. So yeah. But yeah, season 16. Let me give you a few positives. I'll grant it. I think the twist for the actual challenge is kind of interesting to show like every single point counts when it comes to that challenge, because then it actually affects your picks. And as objectively bad a decision as I think it was for Heather to pick Andrew for her team, not just for optics, but also because, he did end up screwing up for her. I did get a little satisfaction when Andrew was screwing up and Gordon Ramsay was laying into him. Like, there is something I found enjoyable about that. Otherwise, yeah, out of 23, I had this ranked as number 20, so literally one spot above season 13.
Oh, wow.
Because, yeah, it still had quite a lot of negatives, in my opinion. I suppose memorable negatives, but negatives. Kimberly had a pretty bad night all around. I think that Heather's leadership just left a lot to be desired, which made it a lot more obvious to me that Ryan was winning. It's kind of like how Lisa in the at the Final Four of this season had the weakest pass run at the Final Four, so you sort of knew she was going home. Like, that's what it amounts to. And let's not forget that Paulie, you know what? I'll still do it. Let's not forget that Paulie was an absolutely bitter dick. Like,
yeah, one more tourist.
Granted, what else is new, given how he was acting all season? But just, wow, did I not like seeing this guy again? I didn't like seeing most of them, but he was just consistently being like, yeah, like, why should I really help anybody win this game? It ain't for me to win. It's just like, shut up. You want them to win for you if you were in their shoes.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You know, but you say all that stuff, like there is stuff happening. Again, I think that's a good example of just like there is stuff happening, but it's just hard to overlook. Just like, you know, people just want to get the season over with, for God's sakes. And that's the thing. Even Ryan's victory is just like, yep, you know, congratulations, bless her heart, but like forgettable winner. It just like was obvious. It's hard to get like super invested into her, like, you know, rising above all the hate, you know. It's just like, I don't know, just, you know, I probably agree with this ranking, probably would be really low for me, but like there is stuff happening here. But yeah, so not last place. So it's got that going for it. For one of the few times season 16 is not last place. Boy, this is it. Just this, like I said, guys, the comments here are just going to be really surprised by this. But again, I'm just going by what my audience said. My you know, my YouTube, whether maybe they might have been trolling or not, or just, you know, they just view it differently. The third worst finale in Hell's Kitchen history, and I feel like there's a theory behind this, is season 2. Which I'm not very high on, like, but I'm very surprised it's this low. Now, Gumball, this is like obviously one of the finales you have watched. So what do you remember about this finale?
Yeah, so I think there are a couple interesting things here. Obviously, for one, like I think the final 2 was kind of lackluster, mostly because Virginia was not very good. I know, Flynn, you don't like Virginia very much. I know that's something that has come up, but I'm inclined to agree from a gameplay perspective, at least, where Virginia was not a very good contestant on this season. Though I think something interesting about this finale is that it seems like Virginia was actually outplaying Heather for a lot of it, where like something like it seemed like Virginia was like edging out Heather in a lot of things. Like she had a better like theme with her like side of the like with her dining room. She had a better theme. It seemed like Ramsay was more impressed by a lot of Virginia's dishes, like that she was putting on the menu. Like it did seem like for a lot of it that Virginia seemed to have the upper edge. But the problem is that like it's Virginia, and it was just so obvious during a lot of the season that Virginia was not as good as Heather, to where it's like none of those things really matter by the end of it. So I did find that like that economy kind of interesting. And just in general, I will say, like, for some of these older finales, I did like how I do like the overall like format of having like each of the finalists like design their own side of the kitchens. Like I understand why they don't do it anymore, because it's like it wastes more time and it's more expensive and stuff. But I did find that interesting, like seeing them like designing like their own restaurant, essentially, like sort of getting like their vibes like beyond just like the menu that they put together, and like, you know, more general like qualities that you look for in a Hell's Kitchen winner. But I did find this finale at least interesting in terms of like Virginia like edging out Heather, even though it felt like she had no shot of actually winning.
So it's kind of interesting you brought up like you kind of like how that, you know, setting up the dining room and all of that, because I just asked the question if people like, you know, these 2-part finales and all that, if they even consider like the first part of this finale part of the real episode, and if they do, if that drags it down for them or not, you know. Because again, there's something I like how you brought that up. There was like that old school charm of like making this finale service so important, whereas some of the seasons, like, you know, I don't know, off the top of my head, like 7, 8, 9, it's just kind of like they just kind of rush into it. They have the finale, the final 2 shows, and just kind of go. So I don't know, there's like a spark for me about that, you know, these old school seasons. I think the first 5 seasons they did that. So even though it could drag at times. But like I said, yeah, just probably the most lopsided final two in history, you know. So Virginia gave up a good fight, or excuse me, put up a good fight. But yeah, I'm just, you know, just I don't know where I put it, probably like low teens, but that's the thing. I think that's the case with a lot of these things. It's just so obvious. Like the first 3 seasons we talked about so far, the winner was just so obvious, you know, as is the case usually in Hell's Kitchen. But, you know, these are 3 or more obvious cases, so it's really hard to get that invested in. Ultra, though, we've talked kind of about the little points here and there. What's the detailed stuff for season 2? What are we forgetting?
So for first off, as far as whether I count the first part of the finale, no. If we're talking the finale,
oh, okay, interesting.
Literally the last episode, I think that makes the most sense because it's literally the last episode. Now, maybe if we were talking about like a different show, I would say that perhaps as a 2-party, you gotta take it into account. But for this, it's like now, like we're going for who like the actual winner reveal at this point. So excuse me. So that's why I'm a little bit more focused on. But when I was re-binging these shows on YouTube, I was going by like the Kitchen Nightmares full episodes YouTube channel, which has these full episodes for this and Kitchen Nightmares. Incidentally, no, I have not seen it, so I can't really give you my thoughts. But as I was looking at it, the early seasons, especially seasons like 1 and 2, did technically have the 2-part episode all as one episode. So in that sense, I did count it then, only because, you know, it's not listed as 2 parts. So, I mean, why not? And honestly, having it listed as 2 parts, I think kind of decreased it a little bit because, how do I put this? What would most people call the most dated thing to ever happen in Hell's Kitchen? A lot of them would most likely mention the BlackBerry comment from like season 1, I believe it was, when they said that, because who even uses a BlackBerry anymore? How many people do you know even used BlackBerries back then? I didn't know anybody. But honestly, while that probably is the most dated thing, a very, very close second comes in the season 2 finale, where there's this big press conference thing going on between the final 2, probably staged. I don't really care whether it's staged or not, but I don't know if it's real. And Virginia and Heather are asked what they do in their spare time. And they proceed to say that they do a little dance to the song Apache, Jump on It by the Sugar Hill Gang, an incredibly dated rap song. It has its charms. I'm not going to act like it doesn't, but oh God, watching them dance to this was just so humiliating. Like,
so where'd you have this in your rankings? I'm curious after all that.
I had it 15th out of 23 because I will give it had a few highlights I did remember. Granted, the winner's very obvious, so it's not like I'm really on the edge of my seat of like who I think is going to win. No, Heather's winning. Duh. But I guess for a lead into that, a few things stood out. Like Virginia, very point blank telling her team, "Y'all suck."
Yeah.
I love that not only when she says that, the music just cuts off immediately. Like I picture guys who I thought Keith could help side because you're kind of weak. I'll admit, clever, because why would you say that? That is the dumbest thing you could have possibly done, Virginia. No offense, great. Like I've been in an interview with her. Like she's cool and all, and it's not like I thought she was winning anyway. But man, that did not help. And the team actually asking her for a bribe, which I have to assume you can't actually do. Like you can't do it on Big Brother. Like people, you can't literally say, "I'm going to give you so and so amount of money to do that." So, like if they can't do it, I'm not sure why Hell's Kitchen why Hell's Kitchen would be allowed to. But was the service kind of exciting? And I guess not that I was on the edge of my seat of who was going to win. But one thing that does kind of pull through that was also probably staged, but I don't mind because I think it's a nice little addition, is the epilogue. I thought the epilogue where you actually got to see Heather at the opening of her restaurant, whether that was all real or not, like maybe it was just like a reenactment or something like that. I kind of like that. I wish we got something like that for other seasons. So that one addition alone shot up a couple spots for me anyways, but yeah, it's not like a high tier finale for me either.
I forgot about this. Yeah, her choosing the weakest chefs was pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, it has its moments. I'd probably agree with you, Ultra. Probably, I'm surprised it's this low, but couldn't put it that much higher than around what you have it. But my fans, we're not going by what we think the fans chose, and they have it as the third weakest finale in Hell's Kitchen history. On to the fourth worst finale of all time, and I'm honestly very surprised. I know there's another season everyone keeps talking about should be last place. I'm honestly very surprised that this isn't, at last, but because it just pisses so many people off to this day, has a butterfly effect to this day. And maybe it's because people don't consider the first part of the finale its own thing, but even then, it still pisses people off regardless. I am, of course, talking about season 17 All Stars, aka the introduction of the final three twists. And Ultra, is that ultimately, yeah, everyone saw that coming. Ultra, is that ultimately, I don't know where you have this season, but do you think that's ultimately where why people dislike this season, this finale so much? I mean, it has to be, right?
For sure. And I want to be clear, that does not contribute to my ranking because, like I said, I'm only going by the final episode.
Yeah.
This technically happens in the penultimate episode, the second to last. So that doesn't count. I mean, I'm not saying I like it. I'm saying that if we're grading finales, it's literally the last episode. So I can't count it. It's not by my own criteria. So that is that. Now, on one hand, I'll say where I have this ranked in a second, but there is one thing about it that I should say is a decent knock against it. As far as me loving the season, upon rewatching it, honestly, Michelle's performance at the end was a lot worse than I remember it. So not only do I think Nick should have won like everybody else does, but honestly, between Michelle and Benjamin kind of should have won because like he was better across the board the entire season. And not to mention just, was a better chef as a person as well this season compared to the last one. Cause you didn't see him say stupid ass things about how his opinion on someone's sandwich was meant more than Gordon Ramsay's, or saying, I quote, rice is poor food. I'm like, yeah, he's never gonna live that down because why would you say that, you dipshit? And All Stars, he's comparatively a lot better than that. Not like a grand statement of character by any means, but better. Like nothing against the guy, at least not this time around. So with that in mind, you think I have this kind of low. I have it sixth.
Woo! Okay. Yeah.
Like I have it a lot higher because I have to be honest. I don't know what. I don't think I should have expected different. But this was probably among the most entertaining finales that I saw. Like, say what you will about this cast. They like, if you want to say that these aren't true all-stars because they're not like good enough chefs or something, that's fair enough. Like, you want like the actual best of the best for like an all-star season. Watch something like, Big Brother or Survivor kind of like. But honestly, even outside of that, like I was looking at some other reality show themes recently, and I was like, Dancing with the Stars had an all-star season, which mainly had a lot of dancers who did great in their season. So, yeah, something like that. Hell's Kitchen was going for drama. And say what you will about this cast, but man, they brought in a lot more drama than I remember. It was a chaotic freaking service. Like, I'm sure most people only remember that Elise was better with Michelle, which, yeah, she was. But granted, that's only for like 2 minutes. I'm not saying you have to like it, but it's not as much as I remember. So there's that. And they remember Robin fumbling like really bad, getting kicked out of the kitchen and just begging to come back in. There is that. But also, there's a couple other chefs who fumble in this service that you would not expect. Like Dana, Jennifer, and even Nick. They have a few problems in service. Like, the fact they have any problems at all, I think, would shock people. Like, wait, what? These people are all great. They're good, consistent chefs. Yeah, they are. No one's perfect, but even I was kind of thrown off by that. But I don't know. Just seeing all these fumbles left and right from people that I just wasn't expecting just kind of kept waking me up. Like, I'm not saying you have to love the episode, but the fact that it kept grabbing my attention, I think goes to show that if they wanted to just have a bunch of chefs who were ridiculous, over-the-top personalities coming together, They did it. You don't have to like it. Like, that's all fine and good. But I guess I kind of like that kind of like gaudiness in my reality TV, as long as there's a lid on it somewhere. And there were a couple chefs who could do that with this season, just not very many.
I don't know. That makes all. As someone who hasn't gone back to watch the finales, I don't know. This probably would be. I have to look through it. This probably would be last for me. It's just like you said. Like between seeing Elise come back. I mean, you say it's only 2 minutes, but still, like her still being like that, and the fact that like not only does Michelle win over Benjamin, but like Michelle was, I think, Benjamin like objectively had the better night. Like Michelle really struggled. It's just like, and then especially if you count part one, of course, with Nick going home, which I personally would for these finales. There's just not a lot of good stuff. Like there's like actively bad stuff, and like at least it's happening, I guess. And hey, like there's even like I would say at least Michelle's like an unpredictable winner, but like I think it was pretty obvious she was like going to win at that point. Just there was just not a lot of good for me. Just and in fact a lot of actively bad stuff here. But yeah, so that is at the All Stars is the 4th worst season or finale in Hell's Kitchen history. And now at number 19. Now, this is where I think, guys, we look at finales. These finales are getting skewed by how people view the season, because I think this finale is actually pretty decent. But because people just were so tired of the season by this point, they're like, screw this. So at the 5th worst finale of all time is season 11. And just like, I think Mary just completely just owning Dan, and just that, I think that alone makes this like almost in your top 10 for me. So it is dragged out for sure as well. But Ultra, why don't you talk to me? I mean, what else happened in this finale?
I admit that Mary owning Dan is pretty satisfying. Keep in mind that there is some potential background information that can test a little bit of what happens, but I have to go by what the actual narrative shows and all that stuff. So maybe I'm a little bit skewed by watching Eternal Possum's recent video on season 11. But I try to keep this all to my own personal opinion and all that stuff. But a lot of his problem with the season is that a lot of people weren't particularly interesting. I disagree a little bit, but I kind of get where he's coming from. But I'll put it this way. About halfway through the episode, as I was rewatching the finale, just the last part, by the way, I was checking my watch. And I looked and I was like, sorry, not the halfway, 3/4 of the way. Because I was about to say, okay, we're about ready to see the fit. There's still 10 minutes? How are there still 10 minutes in this? Shouldn't we be done? What else do we need to see? The service, I'm pretty sure, is over by this point. Like, it cannot possibly take 10 minutes to get to this reveal. This is so drawn out for no good reason. Like,
that's season 11 for you.
It is, and that is a massive problem. Like, season 12 had enough content to where it warranted having a lot more episodes, and even then, it didn't have the most. It was season 11 and then season 10 that had this thing going on. But season 10 had the personalities to back it up. Like, season 11, not quite as much. So there's that. Plus the fact that, that twist that was introduced at the end of the prior episode, which I'm only bringing up because it does have a payoff in this one. There's no payoff. It's literally just, no, we're not going to do this. But the twist, for those who don't remember, was that Janelle and Mary were given the option to swap members of their teams last minute.
I do not remember that. Yeah, it's funny. I don't remember that. It's funny. Yeah.
It's like of course they're not going to do that, especially not for the person who actually won the challenge. Like, no, I'm keeping my picks.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. Yeah.
It's like why would anybody care? Now, I will grant I have this a little bit higher than last place myself. I have it 18th out of 23 because yes, Mary does a fantastic job with her brigade. I commend her. I dare say she almost should have probably won just from that alone. Not that Janelle is a slouch, but, it's like Mary makes a strong name for herself. I dare say it kind of justifies her more as a main character. But inevitably, I just did not care. Now, no offense to Mary or Janelle, but like for the season, I'm just like, y'all really, really have overstayed your welcome. Can we just wrap this up for goodness sake?
Yeah, like I said, I think that's the thing. Mary really carries this, and it does make after she dominated like the previous pass is like, oh man, and she is the person almost like one of the first few boosts of the season actually going to pull this off. So like, I definitely think you're really on the edge of a seat for that. It makes for kind of a interesting who's going to win, which I think is very important for these finales. And again, she was the first person to ever kick out a contestant service, and Dan, and just seeing Dan come back. Finishing 14th place, but at least he got to come back one more time, just completely fail, which I know there's some background to that, but still, like, it is kind of just funny. So I don't know. I probably wouldn't have it too high, but I do think there are like some moments where I'd probably have it like, maybe like around 15th, 14th or there. Again, I'd have to actually watch it, but just off the top of my head, that's where I would have it. So yeah, but it looks like a lot of people kind of agree with you. A lot of people are like, yeah, no, despite all that, it's just too dragged on. So does not surprise me, and it is a bottom 5 ranked finale. All right, so we're out of the bottom 5 now, but still very, very low tier. At number 18, again, kind of another one where I kind of same way. I mean, I can see why you wouldn't like it. I mean, for obvious reasons, but you guys know me. I'm really high in the season for having probably the most unpredictable winner of all time, but she is not liked at all. But that's Ariel Malone, of course, winning season 15. I think because of that, season 15 lands here at 18, which to be fair is a bit higher than like the season rankings. But yeah, I'm kind of interested. Gumball, you still haven't seen the season, so I'll go back to you, Ultra. What's the season 15 finale known for?
So most people remember for a few things like Danny walking out of the kitchen. I think I heard through the grapevine that didn't actually happen.
Yeah, I knew I was forgetting something. Yeah, that awkward edit where like she walked out and it was very odd.
Yeah, like no one ever did that. And let's be honest, Danny is not the chef out of every chef who's ever been on Final Brigade that you would expect to have done that. I mean, I guess it's not out of the realm of a plausibility for her, but still, like, really? Her, of all people. Okay. And here's what's kind of curious for me. If you're wondering where I'd rank it out of 23, I have a 10th. And that might seem kind of high. Like,
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
It surprises me even because I'm going to be honest. The first half of the finale, I think, is pretty boring. Like a lot of it, it's a little bit boring because you're just going through that same scenario of like just the final dish reward challenge and whatnot. Like I've been there, but I don't know what it is. But once service does kick in, I'm immediately a lot more invested, and I do think like not that Ariel never deserved it in my opinion, but if it was really that much a toss-up between Ariel and Kristen who deserved to win, I think this service did validate Ariel winning because I think she was massively outperforming her on that pass compared to Kristen. Because Kristen was actually like Gordon Ramsay had to get vocal in Kristen's kitchen to the brigade a couple times actually, which you don't see all that often, I don't think. And yeah, again, it's just one of those moments that kind of woke me up. I'm just like, oh, shit just got real. And Ariel's doing really good in general. So, there's that. Also, you can hate Jackie all you want. Totally fair. Especially given some other things I learned about Jackie from prior interviews with other people. But when she stepped up for Ariel the way she did, it's a rare likable moment out of her, and it's refreshing enough as is. It in no way excuses the rest of the stuff she did, but we're not judging that stuff. We're judging the finales. So,
yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Again, there's a lot of stuff. I think I agree with you. This probably would crack the top 10 for me again with the surprising, fact that Ariel won. Jackie, I've been notoriously pretty high on for a villain. The fact that she really stepped up is really cool. And again, it was just a close battle all season who was going to win. And yeah, I just think it makes you're on the edge of your seat. Like every little mistake could matter. So yeah, no, I'm definitely pretty high on this. I think this is one of those cases where again, it makes sense because like I'm kind of different from most people in that fact where it's just like, I kind of like that there's a hated winner, but the fact that I'm sure that Ariel does win this season, the fact that season 15 isn't liked that much is kind of what propels the season down. But yeah, no, I'm pretty high on it, but it is the 6th worst finale according to you all. Now at number 17, it's what a lot of people have been waiting for a while now, but it's finally here. And honestly, I'll defend it a little bit. I can see why it's higher than like last place, what a lot of people expect, but you guys have been waiting for it. At number 17 is the finale of season 8. So yeah, Gumball. what do you remember about the season 8 finale?
Obviously you have the final two. You have Nona, Russell. I would say that the outcome of the season was probably a bit more surprising than Heather versus Virginia in the sense that, yeah, like Russell was more prominent for a lot of the season, but obviously has flaws that result in him like being seen as like not worthy of being a head chef, known as someone who was a bit more under the radar, like from a game perspective. Though I will say that there were some moments in the edit that set up the Nona win. So I do find that dichotomy interesting. In terms of like what happens in the actual episode, like you do have Russell winning the initial challenge, which is an interesting outcome. What else is there? I actually have my notes open, so I'm trying to like see like
Well,
what happens here.
the biggest thing, and I think this is what really is Russell kind of like attacking his teammates and like his massive downfall.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's a big thing, for me personally, I think that makes it interesting. I know for a lot of people, as you saw, we're ranking it last, I think, for that reason, just seeing Russell act like a complete fool. So, Gumbo, what was your take on the whole Russell massive downfall here? Because had he just been like not a complete dick, he likely wins the season.
Yeah, so like I do feel like he made a ton of mistakes during his actual service. Like, to be fair, like I feel like like there are people on his team that made mistakes. Like I know Sabrina made some mistakes during that service. I believe Rob like ran out like tomato water at a point. But yeah, like the way he handles the adversity, like it's not great. And like I do feel like it definitely does a decent job at setting up why Russell eventually loses. Because outside of that initial challenge, like we don't really see like Nona's team really struggling that much, aside from like having Boris on her team. But I feel like even then, like the way she handles Boris is better than Russell handles most of the people on his team. So I do feel like that itself is interesting.
Yeah. So, Ultra, you're definitely in line. If I remember correctly, you're definitely in line with what everyone was thinking. This is your least favorite finale, is it not?
Yeah, I was trying not to reveal it too early, but like in prior streams, I was like, take a guess on my least favorite finale.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
If you guess season 8, you're absolutely correct. Now, here's the funny thing. You could compare this to something like season 17, which I was a lot higher on, because that was also a very chaotic finale. But for people, some of them say that their saving grace for the season is just seeing Russell lose. I'll admit, it's something you never forget. And it is satisfying to see him lose. I still just hate watching this finale so much. And partially it is just seeing a lot of people come back that I did not like in the season. But at the same time, like, well, they're all kind of like ganking up on each other and whatnot. Maybe because there are times where I can see two different forces that I absolutely despise going at each other that can be throwing for me. Like, I will stand by this. In Big Brother 15, one of the most controversial seasons of reality TV of all time, for good reason, one of my favorite moments from it is watching Aaron and Gina Marie fight with each other over fucking nothing. It's literally nothing that they're fighting each other. Like, I'm like, do you even remember what started this fight? Because I'm pretty sure neither of you do. You're just kind of yelling for nothing, and I'm loving it because you both lose, basically, with this. Here, well, there is one loser, obviously, with Russell, and it's not like I was rooting for him. And it's not like I had any expectations he was going to win, because I was like, yeah, I've seen your demeanor. You ain't getting that win. So to see him just go against his team as harshly as he does, I don't care how much I dislike Rob or Vinny or any of these people, it just was thoroughly unpleasant to me. Like, did you see Jillian in that same kitchen being like, man, this is going like the shit? I felt bad for her. I'm like, Jillian, get out of there, please. If anyone should walk off the line, it's you. I mean, you have professionalism to not do that, but get out. I'm scared for you. Like, this just does not sit right with me. And it's like, I don't care how much I dislike the other people who are getting the brunt of it. And I don't care how much, like, how satisfying it is that Russell loses. It's just not fun to watch. And I'll put it this way. You can dislike Elise all you want in Hell's Kitchen. Fair enough. I am the lone fucking wolf that kind of stands up for her. But I get why everybody hates her as a bully. But Elise can't do shit to other people. I mean, she's got the guns if she really wanted to, but she's not going to. Like, you ever notice that she never even tries getting physical with anybody ever? She uses her mouth at all times. That's it. Russell did get that close. And I would not put it past him at all to have taken that extra step.
Oh, yeah. That's
like cameras all over the place and people who would have stepped in and stopped him. Like, you actually can feel scared on that part. Now, on the flip side, what about Nona's service? I don't like that either. I mean, I root for her more, but again, Chris Brown comparison, pretty low bar. So, like, yes, she had better leadership, but seeing Boris messing up a lot was kind of something to be expected. I like the guy, but yeah, he did screw up a lot that season. And seeing Trev get on his butt while not being that great either, and just seeing them constantly butt heads and Nona having to come in and like just break it apart, I'm like, nope, I don't like this either. Like, it's entertaining, I guess, but it's entertaining in the exact wrong direction. I'm just not liking where this outcome is going. Like, it's not going to get as bad as Russell's Kitchen, clearly, but it's just not that fun to watch. I'm not saying that makes me root against Nona, but it doesn't make me want to enjoy what's going on her side of the kitchen either. It's just thoroughly unpleasant, and that's how I describe this finale. And let's be frank, the entire season of season 8, thoroughly unpleasant.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, why it is obviously relatively low for that reason, but it is just hard I think when people think of finale moments, like Russell's downfall is like, again, whether good or bad, like a top 5 finale moment. And in these type of episodes where things can be kind of predictable, kind of drawn out, like at least for someone like me, it's just like you can never forget just how satisfying it was to see him lose, So that would make it higher for me. Probably not too high. I would even say like around this area of 17, but yeah, a lot of people obviously had it pretty low. I should have like looked at like how many people like maybe put this like way higher just to kind of average it out. But you know what? I just went about on the average and it lands here at number 17. So we go from probably one of the more iconic finales for all the wrong reasons to another pretty forgettable finale for a forgettable season that I'm pretty high on, but like the finale itself, I can already say, okay, Ultra, help me out here. So at number 16 is the finale of season 7. Before I go to you, Ultra, Gumball, let me ask you, let's see if Gumball, the more casual fan, do you remember anything about the season 7 finale other than the finales?
Well, you obviously get the final 2, Holly versus Jay. I don't think there were like that many like great moments across this finale. Like, I would say the final 2 is probably a bit better than the ones that I've talked about already. In terms of ability, like it's a bit more even. Though that said, like I think something that kind of stands out is seeing like on Jay's side of things, like seeing how like Benjamin kind of runs him over, like where the interpretation I have is like part of the reason why Jay ends up losing by the end of it, despite him being a pretty competent chef, is that like I think he kind of gets dunked on this final service, particularly with Benjamin like kind of like outshining him in the leadership department. So I did find that again something, but I would say in general, it's like there aren't really, I don't remember like any like massive like moments across this finale. It's like well, yes, like the final 2 is like kind of interesting in terms of them being like kind of around the same level. I just didn't like. I don't think it was the most interesting matchup.
That's the thing about this. I can't tell you one thing about the finale, but the fact that you had these 2 lovebirds, in it was kind of obviously interesting within itself. Yeah, like quote lovebirds, and the fact that I still think Jay deserved to win this season, but Holly really stepped up. The pretty girl really stepped up as a leader. Over and she's, for those of you that haven't seen my winter videos, like she's not even cooking anymore, and Jay's a freaking sous chef. So especially in retrospect, to see her just do so much better than Jay in this finale is pretty cool to see. So. But I just can't. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you one thing about this finale. So, Ultra, what does season 7 offer to the table?
I guess unlike the other finales, first off, I'll give a tiny bit of context for why this matchup in general wouldn't have really inspired me. Because a good chunk of the season, I guess, to justify this being an interesting final 2 is just seeing Jay drool over Holly, and I'm sorry, I didn't like that. Like. A small part of me was checking first off, wait, what's the age gap between them? And at the time of filming, Jay was 32, Holly was 24. So, I mean, you can, but it's a tiny bit icky on that level, especially when the edit goes out of its way to show how pretty damn one-sided it is. Like, every time that Holly hung out with Jay on rewards, it was more for strategic benefit. She didn't seem to like him in that way. So yeah, it just kind of felt skeevy to me. I know it wasn't like an Andrew on Heather kind of thing, especially since, as far as I can gather, there was no cheating going on. But I just did not feel that particular attraction. So on that level, this season already had an uphill battle for me to like it. Or the finale did, I mean, because I like the season. It's good and chaotic until you get to the Black Jackets, where I just kind of check out. But yeah, in the finale, it's not really helped by how the first like 5 or 6 minutes of the finale are trying to recap the entire season. And granted, the early seasons did that sometimes, but they dedicated a good like 10 minutes or so to do that. And they had fewer episodes, so you could condense it quite like that. This had more episodes, and you're shrinking down the time. So they're not.
Yeah.
Really
Oh boy, I was gonna
everything
say,
like
boy,
they can.
that really I imagine would have brought it down for me because yeah, usually they did that for 2-parters. I don't think season 7 was a 2-parter. They
was
really
not.
rushed it. Boy,
Yeah,
so that might be the most rush finale. Then no wonder I
It
don't
was
remember.
very rushed, and it didn't have anything intriguing about it. Like I was not invested in them as a final two because Jay. I've gone on record saying I didn't like Jay very much in this season. He's not the most unlikable guy, but far from the most. Holly was criminally underedited. Like she was professional. I liked her, nothing against her, but I can't say there was a ton about her I can remember at the same time. That's not her fault. That's the ed's fault. And then when you come to service, all I remember is a screw up or two from Autumn, Fran, Jason, and Siobhan, I guess, but I cannot for the life of me recall what those mistakes actually were. Just that they happened, which I can't say I'm shocked it would happen from those people, but
Yeah.
some impression should be left on me here. Hence why I have this as number 22 out of 23. It is just
Wow. Yeah. Boy, I was gonna say
like,
when Ultra doesn't know anything.
did not phase me at all. Like I wasn't as down on watching it as I was with season 8 because that one made me feel like I really hated the experience. Here, I didn't really get an experience. I don't know. I'd like one of the most chaotic Hell's Kitchen seasons to have an ending that actually kind of sparked any kind of reaction on me, and this just doesn't. Which, incidentally, I have a similar reaction to something like Survivor Gabon. Like I love Survivor Gabon. The finale leaves a bit to be desired, except for the actual final Tribal Council roastings. Those were cool, but everything else, I'm like, I don't remember. Sorry.
Yeah, like I said, I'm notoriously pretty high in season 7, but that finale, I mean, just and I think that's another thing people might factor in the fact that Holly is one of the first, and like I said in the video, like the first notorious contestant who like didn't get a restaurant. Just that also probably adds something to it. I'm sure. There's just nothing happening, which again for a show like Hell's Kitchen, even if it's like bad, that's what I'm saying. I'd probably have a season like season 8 above this because at least something's happening there. So, and that's the thing. I like that Holly, like I already said, I think Jay should have won, but like she did outperform in the finale, so that was cool to see. But yeah, not really much happening there. So not very surprised. It's relatively low, all things considered. One season I am pretty surprised is pretty low. I mean, and again, it's a 2-parter. But like there's a lot of iconic, well, maybe not a lot of iconic things happening, but 2 pretty iconic things happening. One of those things pretty much changed the show forever. So yeah, at the very first finale in Hell's Kitchen history comes in at number 15, season 1. So Gumball, I can't remember. Did you watch? Was this the first finale you watched, or did you watch season 1 finale after you finished season 22 with us?
I think I finished season 22 first.
Yeah.
I may be remembering it wrong, but yeah, I did. Yeah, this definitely was one of the first ones I watched.
Yeah, obviously is like your second one then at the very least. So yeah, what was your thoughts on the season 1? Obviously, it's been a while, but like, what's your thoughts on the first ever season 1 finale?
I felt like it was fine. Like I did feel like Michael winning was fairly obvious. I feel like Michael was getting more of the winners at it for a lot of the season. So I do feel like that kind of took some stuff away from it. Aside from that, like I have my notes here. Obviously you have him doing very well in like the initial Senators Challenge, like where he wins the favor in that contest. Doesn't seem like he struggles that much during a lot of the final service out of like just him like trying to like rally his team together essentially and letting a bad dish slip by. But I feel like there wasn't really a lot there to make me think that Ralph was going to win during a lot of it. Like outside of him, like seeming to do okay at points during the service, but I feel like Michael just had the better editor across a lot of the season, to where I feel like there wasn't really that much of a, I guess much intrigue over who was going to win. But I still feel like this finale still had at least obviously the novelty of it being the first finale, like still having that old school like vibe of like where they get to like customize their own restaurants. And yeah, like just like the whole like storyline, something like Michael, like I guess gaming the show from early on and like pulling out the win because of that.
That's the thing for me. I mean, I'm very surprised it's this low. I know it's not the most exciting, but like it's Michael Ray, dude. There's a reason why I love him so much. Him doing the sabotage. You guys cook like old people. Fuck. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people hate these 2-part finales. It's so boring. But like this is probably the most notorious case where the first part's so exciting. And I guess that's the thing. I mean, I can't really tell you too much about the second part, but I don't care, man. Just seeing like Michael, just he's Michael Ray. Like it was just so fun to watch him. And again, and literally, like, we see the sabotage are so important nowadays. That's why Lisa went home, this past week. And he literally is like created the show in a way, this end game that we all know and love. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just, I would have it high for that reason. Maybe not too high, but definitely top 10. So tough it's this low. Ultra, what do you think?
I have it in my top 10. It's at number 8, actually, out of 23.
Yeah, there we go.
And yeah, the sabotage by Michael is indeed probably the most game-changing thing that's ever been done by a contestant, because yeah, that really did something. And I'm not gonna lie, if you tried something like that in the later season, it probably would get like massive scorn. I feel like I'm not even sure how it got, what kind of reception that got at the time. But in hindsight now, I'm just like, no, you really did shape the show. And it's not like I think you robbed Ralph of the chances of winning. I do think that Michael in general had it in the bag. He did a better job of commanding respect. Like going back to earlier in the season when Jimmy, of all people, won the first Black Jacket reward. He brought Michael along with him for that reward, specifically because Michael saved him at the final 7, which people called like, he didn't save you because you were a good chef. He saved you because, he wanted somebody else out. Jimmy did not care. He's like, no, you kept me safe, period. Like, that's on you. Thank you. This is my thank you. So that alone should tell you part of why I think Michael won, which is why I'm happy that he won. But yeah, there were other things to include.
Yeah, how did I forget about this? Dewberry. I completely forgot Dewberry this episode.
How do you forget Dewberry?
My God, yeah, my God, I forget. Well, I always forget he came back. I mean, I don't forget he came back.
But I'd rather you call me Brad Pitt's wife. Yeah, that's just great. Dewberry was, in fact, a very, very funny contestant. You guys cook like old people. Fuck is, of course, another great funny line from there. There is one other thing I remember from the finale, and that is Andrew having an injury right before service and it almost leaving Ralph down by his chef, to where he actually tells Gordon Ramsay he's going to be forced to go back and forth between the pass and the garnish station, which would have been funny as hell to see if they actually had that happen. Because I'm going to be like, dude, how are you going to do this like that? But no, Andrew then does come back and he's going to try and push it out for Ralph, in spite of how things ended between him and Ralph at the final 6. Because remember, they ended off on kind of a sour note, but he's like, no, I'm going to be here for Ralph to try and pull things through.
Yes,
you know what?
Yeah.
I really commend that. That's a pretty damn good moment. Is it a little dragged out? I guess, given the finale. And also, it's only this low because even I'm kind of bored by the whole design your own restaurant thing. I'm sorry. We're here to find the best chef, not the best restaurant designer. Make a different show for that. But no, it has enough good, iconic, integral qualities to the show's overall legacy that, yeah, I can't justify putting it incredibly low. Like, it does deserve a top 10 placement. So here I have it, number 8.
That's what I was saying. I was gonna have like top 10s for Michael alone, but we got to talk about Jimmy and then Andrew's like bounce back for the John Pierre thing. It's just like there are so many like great things about these spread out finales, and it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I think I might have if probably now the more I think about it, like definitely out of the stuff we talked about so far, it's easily top 5. We'll get to the more ranked seasons, but man, I think I'd even have to consider top 5 in general. So yeah, I don't know, man, just bias. I definitely, again, classic example where I think it's just too low because season 1 is not that interesting, but the finale itself, really good episode, all things considered. But well, again, like I said, this is your guys', this is what you guys as the audience said. But so on to number 14. We go back to well, actually, I take that back. I was gonna say, what are we gonna talk about this finale? There's, if you do count the first part of this finale, there is like one very, very iconic moment, and there is like the iconic moment of the actual winner. So it has its stuff there, but yeah, it's just a forgettable cast being brought back. And at number 14 is, it didn't pop up, season 20, Young Guns. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much that. I mean, so let's just get this out of the way. Obviously, probably you could even argue the most iconic moment of all time in the finale is the whole drug scene. Absolutely hilarious moment there. My God, Gordon Ramsay is an amazing actor. And of course, like the big thing doesn't really matter too much, but the fact that like Trenton didn't win, like officially breaking the female winning streak, that was cool to see. And that's all I got. Ultra, take it away for me.
I guess I will speak first on the whole drugs scandal thing. Anybody who's a veteran at watching Hell's Kitchen like moi could see right through that. I'm just like,
yeah, but still, it's funny as hell. Yeah,
right. I mean, you're right. Gordon Ramsay is a great actor because he did pull it off as if he really was that freaking shocked by it. But trust me, he would not be. They should put two together and know that you're not going to interrogate the contestants on who brought this stuff in. You have the cameras. You'd be able to tell. So he's leading them on. But it is just kind of funny how much he's leading them on. And it does kind of fit the theme. Young Guns. I guess if anybody would have fallen for it, it would be amongst the youngest crop of chefs to have ever popped up. Like, Trenton and Megan are competent people, don't get me wrong, but if you picked older people to try this out on, I'm pretty sure they would have just not even.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Like, that's the thing. I mean, imagine you're in your shoes. You're thinking so much about the finale, and then you see Gordon Ramsay with two massive dudes just like about to attack you. You know, just like your mind's probably like racing, not thinking straight. Like, it's easy to make fun of them, but like I think that's what.
Oh yeah, like that. Yeah. That's what Hell's Kitchen is.
Like, honestly, his acting, he's not like a trained actor or anything, and he had like an insane face. How did he not just crack up laughing?
Okay,
you know?
like I contest that. I mean, okay, he's not like an Academy Award winner or anything, I don't think, but he has acting credits to his name. I love
stuff that's true.
Played in Smurfs: The Lost Village, and his cameo there cracked me up. I'm just like, they got Gordon Ramsay in a Smurfs movie, and it kind of fits. I mean, it's not much, but it's just a nice little something. But what else from the finale? I'm not gonna lie, it starts off on kind of a weak foot because for reasons I cannot ascertain, it opens with Kaya and Brynn on Trenton's team both being bitter at him. I mean, I guess you have the build up for Kaya, but it was a very one-sided rivalry with her, so that makes no sense. But what does Brynn have against Trenton? That I do not recall there being an issue with. Also, before the whole drug thing, I think the finale makes it pretty obvious that Megan's in a losing position because they have her being incredibly laid back with her team, which, by the way, that's a pretty big tip-off. If you have anybody in the finals that's more laid back than the other person, just write them off. They're not winning. That pretty much seems to always be the case with that kind of thing. And Megan was very laid back to the point where Gordon Ramsay had to pull her into the pantry and say, hey, get in the gear. They aren't your friends. They're your employees right now, which, hey. Then you got the drug thing, and then service happens. And I was wondering if the service would just not have anything all that amazing afterwards. But honestly, I was kind of engrossed because while Trenton is, in fact, still consistent, and I think earns that victory, Megan does actually crank it up. Like, she does improve on her leadership there. And I'm just like, okay, you freaking listened. I'm not going to lie. I think the fact that she didn't start off that strongly might have skewed it a little bit. And also, maybe it is the fact that they want an actual worthy male winner this time around to get in there, which Trenton deserved it. I'm not gonna knock him for that. Which is a pretty memorable thing to have the first male winner in so many seasons. But even that, okay, the drug thing is the most memorable. Trenton being the first male winner, probably second. I have a third for most memorable part about the finale that you didn't bring up. And it happens immediately after Trenton is crowned the winner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
proposing, which
I forgot to give the ring or whatever. I forgot what he did. He like screwed up in a way, I think. It was like
either way, she said yes because why wouldn't you?
could you imagine if they just said no? Like,
Okay, that would. I'm not gonna lie, that might have actually shot it up. Had that happened, I would have been like, "What? He just won Hell's Kitchen. You're on." Okay, granted, that's putting her a tiny bit on the spot. I'm going to assume they were already on board with it anyways, because otherwise, it's kind of like proposing to somebody over a jumbotron. It's just like, yeah, putting them in a really crap position to if they say no. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can the one, yeah, I know a crap position, but even just say yes and like divorce him off the screen, like just save the embarrassment. My God, yeah, that's just like this. I think this is kind of like the perfect middle ground. It has its moments for sure, but it's Young Guns. Like, what else can you really say? The fact that we did get the moments, maybe even arguably like the most like at least a top 5 iconic moment in finale history from the season is pretty crazy within itself. So I think it's right where it needs to be at number 14.
I have it at number 9 from my
rating. Yeah. So top 10 for you. So there you go. Yeah, exactly. So alrighty, so we're almost at the top half of the list. Not quite now, but we're definitely starting to get where it's just like, okay, pretty mid tier. At number 13, again, probably want to surprise this low. The first ever episode in Hell's Kitchen history to get over 10 million viewers. Arguably, you could even argue the peak of the show. At number 13 is the finale of season 3, when The Rock, a man named The Rock, right when Dwayne Johnson.
Different guy.
I know, but that's why I always say about this. It's like, you can't tell me this correlation there. Like, my God, how happy Hell's Kitchen must have been that a man named The Rock won. And there's a reason why it's so popular. So, but again, I'm just kind of looking at numbers. I guess when really thinking about this season, I'm not that high on Rock either as well. There's really not much happening in this finale, but Gumball, this was obviously one of the finales you watched, and I know you obviously were high on Rock, but would you ever think with his negative moments that Bonnie might win? What do you remember about the final 2 here?
Yeah, just going through my notes here. It doesn't seem like Bonnie had like the greatest episode herself, where it's like, yeah, like she had like a decent like theme with her like actual kitchen, but like she did seem to struggle quite a bit during the actual service, where like she was like running out of like supplies. Like they ran out of fettuccine, they ran out of prawns. Like you had a customer sending back a dish. Like I feel like Bonnie had a very rough service that didn't really make me feel like great in Bonnie actually pulling out the win here. Now, I will say the one pro is that she did win that initial challenge, like in the first part of the finale, but I feel like the service itself was a mess for Bonnie, to where even though Rock's service wasn't perfect itself, like I feel like it was like Rock had the superior service that made it pretty clear that he was going to win based off that. So like I don't feel like there was as much intrigue there, but it was still fun seeing like Rock like going on the win, like Rock being like one of more likable presences there. So I do feel like it has that going for it, but like in terms of like the actual like final 2, it's like I feel like there wasn't like the most intrigue in the world.
Yeah, someone brought it up, and I can't believe I forgot this. Julia, of all people, probably the most beloved person of the golden era, the golden era. Julia was the first person to be like really salty about coming back, and maybe that was editing, but still, it's just like, dang, what's happening to Julia? So, yeah, the more as much as hype as like it is with it being such a watch finale, and again, I joke about it, but it is kind of cool that a guy named The Rock won Hell's Kitchen. It's just like, yeah, man, there's not much happening here. I still think it was pretty obvious Rock won, and Julia had a pretty bad way to go out. So, man, the more I think about this, it's just like, oh man, this probably wouldn't be a high for me. But Ultra, you're the one who's been watching these finales. What do you think about season 3 finale?
I got it ranked pretty low, to be honest.
All right, good.
Kind of on a similar level to it's of the remaining finales left. This is the lowest one I have so far. It's at 19th.
Wow, very low. Yeah.
I want to be clear. It's not like there's anything all that hateable, but it is just one of those finales where I do kind of struggle to find many highlights aside from just Julie drama and all that stuff, which has to have been editing because it just does not feel like it fits her. Maybe I'm wrong. I wasn't there. I just don't really follow it otherwise. The only other thing I remember was, shocker right here, Josh holding back Rock a little bit.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well,
I mean, stop the presses. But otherwise, I know they picked their brigades just because they knew who they could work with. But just seeing the same blue team and the same red team battling. It felt like, haven't we seen this all the damn time? Like, you never see that in any other season where it's like literally just the exact same freaking people. Like maybe like one other time, but usually not on both teams. There's enough of a gender imbalance where you can usually avoid that. And even then, there's usually people who have actually swapped teams. So for substantial enough periods of time to where it matters. Here, the most you got is that Melissa briefly swapped to the blue team for one episode. And she was already in hot water before then, so that barely freaking counts. So, yeah, it's not really a finale that I think is awful. It's all right. But it's all right in a way where I'm like,
yeah, I mean, some people just said like Vinny Guy's redemption. I don't remember that, to be honest. So I guess that's pretty cool.
Honestly, okay. If by redemption we mean he's not an active fuck up,
exactly. Yeah, I guess. Congratulations.
But I'm sorry.
It's not exactly like a Jackie type situation. That seems.
It's like we need to see like more active footage of that because I'm sorry, I don't have actual memories of him being like, no, like I screwed up. Rock was in general there for me more than most other people. I'm going to do that because you could have put that in there had he actually said that, which maybe he did and they just didn't. I think that's stupid because there's precedent to actually do that, but they just don't. That's a pretty obvious missed opportunity, assuming that happened. We can only speculate though, because we only know what was shown to us. So yeah, it's just kind of so that's why I have it as low as I do.
Yeah, like I said, so it's kind of end of most people. I think the more we talk about it, I actually probably would have it pretty low as well, like not just mid tier, but. And that's what I'm saying. Season 3 is like obviously more beloved than some of the seasons below, and I just feel like that's kind of where the bias of seasons are taking place. But nonetheless, at number 13 is season 3. At number 12, I really don't have a segue for this, so let's just get right. Let's just get right into it because I mean, this is again another example where it's just like, bro, what's there to say about the season 21 Battle of the Ages finale? Or then, bro, Alex was gonna win like from the. Like, I mean, chat, what am I forgetting about season 21 finale? Is there anything interesting here? Oh, sure. What am I forgetting here?
For me, it's the exact inverse of season 15. I thought that one started very dull, but ended up kind of strong. Here, I think it starts stronger, but ends very dull. I mean, not just because we know who the winner is, but also because I think at the start, you have a pretty good emotional family reunion for both Alex and Daphne. That's something.
I did. Yeah, that's the big thing I take away from it. That was cool. But
I guess Service is appropriately rocky on both sides, and Ramsey has to tell both chefs actually that they're not fully reaching their potential. Again, I think it's still kind of a open shot case of who's going to be winning, but I guess that's something. But for like, while I know mistakes happened in Service, again, I can't really tell you what those mistakes were off the top of my head. So yeah, it is one. So yeah, it ends a little bit more on a duller note than it is, but I have it a little higher since that first couple minutes is definitely something. I have that number 16 out of 23.
Yeah. That's probably where I have it. Yeah, there's just not much to say. And I guess the thing, not just bias this season, but the fact that Alex is, as obvious as he was, such a likable and the first ever 40+ winner, like, that was cool to see. So if you just look at it from that point of view, that's kind of cool. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about all these moments from season 1, like even season 7, kind of forgettable. There's still stuff to talk about. Like, boy, this might be like, this might be the least we talked about season so far. So like the fact that it is almost like top half. Again, and even the people in the comments here are like, yeah, this is very, very low. So I think it's just like a case of the casuals just liking Alex, which, hey, their opinion is valid. But yeah, just probably a little too high for me. But the people have spoken, as they say. All right. On to, I guess, now the official upper half of the list, with odd numbers. It's always kind of odd. But on to the top half of the list and just missing out on the top 10 is, again, I don't have a segue for it. And off the top of my head, despite it being such an iconic season, I can't really think of the moments. And I think another big thing that despite it being such an iconic season, it's winner while they're not hated. It's definitely like, oh, man, we did not want this person to win compared to the other person. At number 11 is the finale of season 4. And yeah, said this a million times, say it again, just hard to – season 4 is an iconic season, but I think it is out of the top 10. And if it probably would be low if it wasn't so iconic, but out of the top 10, due to the fact that Petroza didn't win. Ultra, is there any other reason why this season would be lower than it should be, comparably speaking, or do you think that's the main reason why it's pretty?
It is part of it might be it's not where the finale is memorable. It might also just be because we have some of those standard early season cliches that people just didn't care for, like again the restaurant refurbishment, all that stuff. I'll give credit even this time around. I gave a tiny bit more of a crap, not much of one, but tiny bit more of one. Like I saw Christina get really upset about the stripes in her dining room. I'm just like, you are really in on this thing. I think it's fine. Yes, I mean it's your restaurant, your call, but there's that. But I do at least appreciate that there's a lot more character-driven moments that I think actually help this service, which is why it might shock people that I have it as high as I do here. But I have season 4 at number 4, honestly.
Oh wow, yeah, wow, okay.
It's just certain characters being entertaining and some kind of intriguing moments where I'm like, oh, that kind of informs me a little bit actually. Like I mentioned this during the Matt interview, but there was Christina buttering up Matt during the menu deliberation, saying like, hey, you can do this and this really well. And apparently it wins Matt over, so he'll perform better for her. I mean, he still kind of makes an ass of himself during prep, but all the same, like you can see him at least trying to go to bat for her, which not every chef has ever done, as I've mentioned a few times so far in this countdown. So I thought that was kind of cool. And speaking of making asses out of themselves, there was Jen doing that quite a bit throughout the finale, which cracked me up on a very, I mean, it gave me a little bit of secondhand embarrassment, but it was also just Jen completely looking like a fool. And I just kind of loved seeing that. And then you just got Petroza being Petroza. Like, do I need to explain myself there? Like, he's a great character.
There it is, yeah.
Him. Even if he's not going to win, like, it's a shame he doesn't win. And that, I can't say it brings it down too much because I'm still one of those people who's like, you can't always get what you want. In fact, when it comes to reality TV, you often will never get what you want if you're wanting a certain contestant to win. But you got to make peace with that because it's, in the end, it is just about how things progress in the game based on its format.
And that is a good thing. It's not like Christina's a hated winner by any mean, but it's also, you kind of feel bad for her because it's like, compared to Petroza, she's like the devil, it's just like one of those things. Gumball. So obviously season 4 is probably like the first like instance of a shocking winner in your eyes, as it was, for most people who watch the Hell's Kitchen seasons in chronological order. So what's your take on the shocking winner? Because obviously, sometimes I like it, like when case for Ariel, sometimes I don't like it here. So when it comes to a shocking winner, what's your take on the whole situation for season 4?
Yeah, so so you can tell that they were trying their best to like rationalize like why Christina would win over Petroza. Like you have her them really propping up the fact that she had to work with Matt, that Matt was on her team, and having to like manage him really well. At the same time, you have her being shown being more assertive as the service goes along, despite some bumps along the way. And at the same time, like they definitely try to showcase some of Petroza's flaws. Now, with that said, I don't think they did enough to explain why Petroza loses. Though to be fair, I don't think there's like that great of a reason outside of the fact that he's just much older than Christina here. But still, like again, like it's probably not like the ideal outcome, but like I do think they at least took some steps to like explain why Christina wins more so than like highlight like why Petroza loses.
Oh, so you want to say something?
Yeah, because I did recall something because somebody mentioned this in the chat, and I was like, oh, yeah, we were told this. You weren't here for this, but in an interview we had with the sous chef of season 4, Gloria, she mentions that the winner, so we know the winner of the season is the person who has their door open on finale night.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, that actually happened for Petroza.
Well, I was there. When I was there.
Yeah. You remember that, Gumball. Flynn, you didn't hear.
Yeah, what? I'm confused.
Yeah, his door opened not because it was meant to. He forced it open.
Oh, that's perfect.
That is fucking funny. I mean, it's a little sad at the same time, but at the same time, even I'm like, I have to have been there for that take because just imagine the 3. Wait. I'm sorry. That would have cracked me up if they actually kept that in, but I guess you gotta keep the moment more dramatic. And yeah, I guess that's a little sad to hear, but it's also just really funny to hear. Like, there's a lot more great stuff about Petroza that you don't even hear about from behind the scenes, as we've now heard from Gloria and now Matt.
Yeah,
So,
and the lore of Petroza keeps growing. I'll tell you what, and that's the thing. That's why I probably have this low. Just like it was just meant to be his season, and just I'm notoriously like kind of somewhat low in season 4, and like I think the end game with all the unlikable people coming back is a big part of it. No really moments from this finale stands out to me. Yeah, just I'd honestly be pretty low on this, to be honest. So yeah, but it's the top 10 season, or excuse me, well, not quite top 10. Just missed on the top 10. And we are now approaching the top 10. And at number 10, so guys, give your predictions on your top 10 now. So I guess why we before that, so we still have yet to see. All right, so here are the seasons of the top 10. We got season 5, 12, 22, 6, 23, 19, 18, 9, 10, and 14 in the top 10, y'all. So just to keep you all updated. But at number 10 is our most recent finale, season 23, Head Chefs Only, which of course I gotta say this now. Those of you that missed it, I already actually have the finale stream up ready to go for tomorrow. But Kyle Tipson, the winner of this season, will be joining us tomorrow for the season 24 finale. So I'm excited for that. And like Ultra, is there any other reason why this season isn't top 10? Not for, one for bias reason just happened, but two, like the fact that Kyle won Hell's Kitchen. Like, any other reason why this finale is so high?
For me, that probably is it, because I honestly I do have the lowest of the remaining ones, which for anyone keeping track of my placements, that means I have that 17th. It's honestly an incredibly standard finale. Not bad, not good, just, very middle of the road. But the fact that Kyle is there, I think is enough to make people say they like it quite a bit, because he is just a fantastic character, and he does a great job justifying how he wins as well with his own leadership. So that is a very good saving grace. Like, it's not even that the finale is bad. It's just kind of very middle of the road to me, but Kyle's great. So I get it. That's kind of all I have to offer, sadly.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I'm biased too, because I love Hannah, obviously. She obviously helped me big time for our stream. So I really like both of them. And yeah, the fact that Kyle wins this season, it's just so cool. And again, it was really a toss-up. That's the thing, Gumball. We kind of talked all season is between Hannah and Kyle. So what's your again, you haven't seen all the seasons, but is Kyle your favorite winner, at least character-wise? And I don't think we've ever asked this out of all the winners you've seen so far.
Character wise, like I think he's definitely up there. Like he's definitely like a pretty big personality. The fact that he actually is someone who wins season, despite how big of a character he is, I think that's definitely something that really works to his favor when we are comparing him to the other winners. In terms of the finale, like I'm mostly inclined to agree with Ultra. Like it's not like a super special finale. I think it's definitely helped on this ranking by the fact that it is the most recent one, and the fact that Kyle does seem to be pretty well liked as a winner. But again, I still think there was like some fun intrigue over figuring out who was actually going to win. Like, again, like I got it wrong. So like, I definitely think that totally speaks to like how solid the Fallen 2 was from a competitive standpoint. So I do feel like there was definitely some promise there.
Look, Jem, that is just perfect timing. He just happened to show up when we're talking about Kyle. That is absolutely amazing. So yeah, guys, be sure, that's the thing, guys. So there's not much to say about season 23, but I'm sure Kyle will have a lot to say tomorrow. So be sure, of course. I'm sure you guys are going to be here regardless. But if you were thinking about not showing up for the finale, well, now you got to show up for Kyle. So
what's wrong with y'all?
Yeah, for sure. All righty. And we might have a problem here because my mouse isn't letting me go down all the way. So
I wrote down your rankings.
Yeah, I just like to pull them up, but it might be tough to pull them up. So we'll see. But all right, nonetheless, at number 9 is interesting because it's one of those. It's so beloved, but it could be a case where I think it's on par season 4 with just like a good person won, but not exactly you wanted to win, and there's not many like that notorious moments. But man, forgetting something, I think it's probably where it belongs. Maybe at number 9 is season 19, and yeah, I kind of already said it. Corey's a good winner. I even think he's the most underrated winner of all time. But it's like we all wanted like someone like Nikki. If you count like the 2-part finale, seeing Declan go out of it, now you make it the finale is obviously really tough. But at the same time, it's season 19, so no wonder why it's top 10. So Ultra, what's your thing? What do you feel about season 19 finale here?
The Final Four in general of Hell's Kitchen is like, you probably saw me snacking on these a little bit. It's like just a nice little bag of jelly beans. It's just like, pull out any random handful, and these are regular jelly beans, not the Bernie Bots ones, because screw that. But any handful of them out, you'll be satisfied. Honestly, I don't even care if it's the red hot one or the licorice. I'll take it. Seriously, it's just a great little snack. I love it. But so yeah, I'm not all that upset about like who makes the finale. I like all these people. I could rank them by who I like most, but I'm not the least bit upset about any of them winning. So nothing against Corey, and I can't have anything against her on that level. And impressively, I actually have a lot to say about this finale. It's not even that it is a lot of incredibly memorable stuff. It's mostly just the actual characters just being incredibly dynamic and
For sure, yeah.
entertaining and likable. Now, not all of them. I'll get across a few negatives because honestly, I have it a little low anyways. Not low. It's at number 11 for me. But let me get across the two actual issues I have, and they are going to, unsurprisingly, come from the exact two people you think. There's Mark just being especially frantic and the team getting all annoyed by him. Again, what else is new? But if you thought that Amber was annoying all season for whining over and over again about being on the blue team, I forgot this. There's a second thing she didn't shut up about, even though it was only for an episode, but she never shut up about this. She was upset that Corey picked Jordan over her.
Yeah.
Like, over and over again. I'm just like, bitch, can you let anything go? Anything, for Christ's sakes. Like you take everything so personal. How old are you exactly? Like,
yeah.
You don't have to like Elise or Jackie, but I expect them to be this immature. You have a much more calm, professional demeanor in every way except when you talk. It is so ridiculous. So those kind of brought it down for me. But there's a lot of other stuff I did like. Just, again, you saw Cody and Mary Lou again.
Yeah, that's true.
Adorable. Love it. You got Corey laying down the law with Adam, who's, of course, being pretty laid back. You got Jordan letting Corey down in service, but as she's doing that, Corey delegates Declan, of course, to go help her. Good move. You got Amber laying down Mary Lou with raw chicken in the finale. Jeez. And Mary Lou putting her own foot down as that might be one of the other reasons I have it a little lower, is that I think between the two of them, Mary Lou's leadership actually impressed me a tiny bit more than Corey's. Like, Corey didn't do badly at all, but I kind of think I liked Mary Lou's leadership better. Maybe it's just because it impressed me more. Like, I'm noticing that the finales I have higher are the ones that caught me off guard with great moments. And I like a lot of the moments we got in the season 19 finale, but I can't say all of them really shocked me. They delighted me for the most part, but it is what it is. And there is one other thing that I think is just kind of hacky. You got iconic twists, like invading the sabotage in season 1 or the drug fake out in season 20. Gordon Ramsay, though, for quite a while has had this one trick of saying, I'm going to do away with the whole two doors thing. I'm just like, oh, for crying out loud, can you stop with that?
The Javon moment. We'll get there in a second.
We'll get there, yeah. But no, every time he claims that, never mind, I'm still doing it. It's like, why are you building this up then? We know you're not going to get away with that. It's a classic tradition for a reason. For God's sakes, quit that. It was a little bit irritating when you saw it in, Survivor, because up until the new era, and every season aside from the first one had the reunion be on some big live stage. But there were 2 seasons, Africa and Thailand, where they tried faking you out to thinking it was live on stage still. But no, we actually had on a big sound stage, and we just really knew how to keep the audience quiet. There was something cool about that. Here, I'm sorry, this is just a stupid, obvious way to try to draw out drama that's just not there. So stop it. But I did like the finale. It's just a few flaws that I'd say kind of hold it back a little bit.
Yeah, I It's just that's the thing. This is one where I think this is the most I just have to rewatch because I think I would enjoy it, just like you said, to see all the great characters back for one last time. Again, I've said it a million times. Obviously, like the best end game in Hell's Kitchen history and character wise. So, and again, I think Corey's underrated winner. She does great here. Some people brought up Mark having his redemption again, very similar to Jackie, and like a pretty likable villain, like having his moment to go out on. So if you didn't like him, you had to root for him there. So I think it's had his moments. The more you talk about it, I could definitely see maybe not quite top 10, but you can't like really argue. You can't say this is biased against the season for being in a top 10. Actually, you can definitely see the argument for it. But yeah, so now on to the top 8. At number 8, it's kind of funny. I just kind of got done saying how like some seasons are, I think, like season 21 is like only high because of someone like Alex. You know what? I guess I kind of contradict myself here because I probably would have this next season very high as well too, because it truly is. This winner is like the culmination of like a 2-season arc, and I was so happy they won. I can't really say much else about the finale, but I don't care. I agree with season 18, Rookies versus Veterans, being in the top 10 because Ariel Fox becoming from forgotten about over Kevin and Dave, which we'll get to very soon here, is very high for obvious reasons, to just absolutely dominate almost 10 years later and just become an absolute GOAT of the show. So Ariel is queen. Yes, such a dominant win. That's the reason why. Maybe, I don't know. But that's why you're here for Ultra. So what else does the season 18 finale have?
Now, I have this one high myself at 5th. In spite of me not seeing all that many major highlights, the closest I can find is Ro kind of tripping up Mia in her kitchen, but that's about it as far as like major mistakes go. But it's honestly not the moment, and honestly, it's not even really the characters. The people are fine in general. I mean, I don't like Scott Lee, but he's barely even shown, so I'll take it. Sorry, phlegm. But it's not even really what they're saying. It's just a more positive professional vibe, which I think makes sense given the theme being rookies versus veterans. Like, you expect some professionalism out of them. And honestly, even the actual rookies, again, except for Scott Lee initially, but we don't see him much of him here, so I guess it checks out, are actually a lot more professional, and all of them are on board to try and make their respective finalists, whichever team they're on, try and win the season. And I guess there's that level of camaraderie and integrity that I really did respect, and that is why I brought it up a lot higher. It's not especially memorable. It's just a good atmosphere, a good environment. I like that.
For sure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I really don't have much to say. And even the comments, like you're, bringing up stuff. That's the thing about this. It's just like, I know it's kind of contradicting what I said earlier, but just like, I think that's the thing. The fact that it really is like a 2-season arc here. Again, and that's the thing. You look at Michelle with how disappointing that was. It's not her fault, but just how disappointing that was. Like, this is a true all-star winner. This is what a second chance season was made of. And we're talking all this time, we're probably going to get like another Young Guns type season before a second chance season. Just like, Ariel was like the perfect representation of it. Yes, she made 3rd place, but still overshadowed on an amazing season. And she got a second chance of a lifetime, and she made the most of it. Like, that truly is what, like, not just Hell's Kitchen is all about, but like reality TV is all about, life is all about. It's just so great for that. So for that reason alone, I would have a top 10, maybe even top 5. Again, just, just Ariel Fox, the legend. I'm just glad she won. And I'm really glad like people kind of agree with me here and have a top 10. All righty. So here's the thing. Number 7 is very, very interesting. And that's the thing. I think so far on this list, like people have like kind of ranked the rankings on how they view the season, which has kind of led to, in my opinion, some unfair rankings. They got it right here. Again, no one hates the season more than I do. Even I cannot deny the finale deserves to be very, very high for obvious reasons. At number 7 is the finale of season 9. Again, there's nothing really to say. What Paul did, just seeing Paul just dominate and get Elise and Carrie to work together, absolutely iconic. And seeing like Will just not being able to lead his kitchen after dominating all seasons, it's like, whoa, what's going on here? And despite all this, you still think Will is going to win just because of how dominant he was. And then when Paul wins, it's just like, even I, who freaking does not like Paul, was just like, whoa. And I had to clap for him because honestly, he deserved it. It's just such an interesting ride. Gumball, Are you surprised a season 9 is this high? Because I'm sure you know, it's like we're all low on this. Do you agree with this?
I think I can definitely see the rationale behind it. Like, I mean, I do think Paul and Will are a somewhat decent final two in the sense that I think I actually had Will higher on my chef ranking. Like, I do think
Oh
Will
yeah.
probably played the better overall game, but like, I do think Paul was able to really do well in that last server. Like you said, being able to get Elise and Carrie to work together. Like, I do feel like the show. I feel like this final service was really like kind of a roller coaster in the sense that it showed that Paul was able to like really turn it around in his final service, really impress Ramsey to the point to where Ramsey just had to give him the win. And while I don't think it's enough to have him higher on my chef ranking for that season, I do think it does make for a fun like episode. Like that's not just a foregone conclusion, what I do find pretty interesting there. So I can definitely see why like this finale will be pretty highly ranked.
Ultra, you have notoriously been very high on season 9, so is there any, obviously I said the obvious parts, as has Gumball. Is there anything else you'd like to add about this finale? And then again, I don't even know where it's at. I assume it's pretty high for you, or am I wrong?
Third. It's a third for me because, yeah. And I know I'm an outlier for that kind of thing. I don't care. I stand by it. I mean, no one has to agree with my opinions. Like, it's up to me to justify them. Thankfully, it appears that justifying that this finale is not going to be all that difficult, thankfully. But a lot of justification around me liking the season has to go around me justifying me liking Elise. But even people seem to like Elise in the finale. Like, no, she was with Paul. She backed him up. Like, that alone's a good W. Not that she didn't have a slip up or two, but nothing significant enough to where it really crashed and burned anything. And she came through for him on other people's stations, like Jonathan, who was crashing and burning. But yeah, just the idea that you got these two objective titans in the season going against each other, it did seem like Will had the upper hand compared to Paul. But it's not just that. You got, when the brigade is brought back, you got Tommy just being funny by mooning the final two. I'm like, wow, amazed y'all showed that, but that's funny. We got the returning chefs and Tommy's ass. I'm sorry, that's great. I love that. You got Will trying to be strategic by having Carrie and Elise forced on Paul's team and it completely backfiring. That's great. You see, this is like an inverse to season 8, where that one is a lot of memorable moments that I am thoroughly not enjoying watching. This one's a lot of memorable moments that I am loving because they are kind of building up on each other on a narrative level. And honestly, it's not even just Paul's great finale run and Will's lackluster run for that matter, because like those are good enough on their own. But it kind of helps that we get this emotional backstory from Paul about his mom all while that's going on. I'm just like, man, as much as I've kind of found you a bit of a ham this season, like, I respect your dedication. I just think you oversold it a couple times. Like, I fucked up. I'm taking ownership 100%. Yeah, I appreciate that. Can you dial it back a tiny bit, buddy? A little bit. Like, you're overcompensating a hair, I think. But no, here it's all completely genuine. I respect it. I can't find anything I really dislike about this finale. I think it's thoroughly amazing. And honestly, whatever you think about Elise, it's not just that she's, a dramatic chef. She actually can be plenty funny in places. Like, I forget if it's the finale or a different episode. I might be misremembering. But I recall her calling herself at one point Captain Save-A-Ho.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to not laugh at that? That's hilarious.
Sure.
Like, even if it's not warranted usually, but assuming she said it in this finale, I gotta double check if I remember that correctly, but assuming she did. Like, she did save other stations, so she kind of merits calling herself that.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of good stuff, like you said, Paul's arc, whether you, and that's the thing. If someone like me can overlook all that stuff and enjoy this finale, like I'm sure even if you don't like season 9, it's hard to overlook just how great this finale is. You could even argue if it wasn't so hated, it would be higher. But still, for all things considered, season 9 is usually bottom 5 most stuff. It deservedly so deserves a top 10 spot, ultimately landing at number 7. On to the top 6, almost top 5. I mean, I shouldn't say a season similar to season 9 because it's a way more liked. It's definitely the most decisive season. But again, the reason why I feel like this season is so loved for most people is because of the winner to come from it. And honestly, the finale itself, we already kind of touched on it. It's very, very good itself. At number 6 is the finale of season 10. So, Gumball, this was your most recent finale. Well, maybe other than season 23, but seasons you've gone back to watch, this is the most recent finale. So, what do you remember most about season 10, and how do you feel about it as a finale overall?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Christina played a very solid game. I feel like she did very well in this final service. Not that I think Justin did like super poorly, but like I feel like he was definitely like brought down by his team, like the fact that he had like the Clemenza on his team, the fact that Barbie was also like struggling there. I definitely think Justin wasn't helped by his final service, but at the same time, I feel like Christina still played a very strong game, and I feel like even though I feel like it was pretty clear that Christina was going to win by the end of it, that I still think Christina had a very solid showing in this final service, and again, like was able to like work well with her team, like the fact that she was able to help her, like was able to like help Dana like get back on track, the fact that she had Robin sticking in line during the service. I do feel like there was definitely like a lot of showcasing of why Christina was a solid player and someone who definitely like is a satisfying winner.
For sure. Again, obviously, you got the iconic Tavon moment, just so hilarious there. I kind of mentioned this earlier. Dana, of all people, has have a really bad finale record. She was all people kind of struggled for Christina, and it's like you thought that'd be a lock. That was interesting to watch play out and see Christina overcome it. And like I think it was obvious, not obvious, but like pretty clear Christina was winning. But such a nice close finale, one of the more closer final twos of all time. Especially if you just get rid of the edit, like just from a talent standpoint, super super close. So yeah, really, really great. And yeah, I think I'd probably have it right around here, just outside my top 5. Ultra, you're in the camp where you're very high on season 10. Where do you have the finale at?
I do have it the lowest of this top 6 personally at 14th. I want to be clear.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
I want to be clear. Like, it's not like it's a terrible finale. There are parts of it I do like. Parts of it that I think are a little bit hard to get past. For one thing, technically it is being the victim of being the second part of a 2-part finale.
That's true, yeah.
It's separated, so I have to only count the second part, and that breaks the flow a lot because you're not really seeing a good chunk of the brigade selection there. I mean, I've seen it, but it feels like there's a lot we didn't see built up. You see Clemenza being difficult in general. I'm assuming the edit's playing that up because I don't know why he would have been like that, really. Robin gets called a cancer. Really? Her? It stresses Justin the heck out, and yeah, it's a little bit unpleasant. So that kind of brings it down. It's not the worst. It's just not especially fun to watch. But yeah, what pulls it through for me is Christina just acing being a leader on her team. And yeah, there is Dana, her best friend, who gets knocked down a couple pegs. But here's the funny thing. For all the people who were speculating based on our last entry about season 9, like what if Jada somehow pulls a Will and just doesn't pull through at the end? Like, I'm like, what if you're thinking about this wrong? What if it's a Chef Christina and she's forced to lay down the law to her best friend who might be screwing up? It could happen. It very much could. Like why are we? I'm like, the Will scenario could happen, but so could the Christina. And I kind of like to see kind of a repeat of that. I did like seeing Christina be like, no, I am not your friend. I'm your employer now. Ironically, that would carry over into all.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
but that is funny. And also, yeah, of all these fake outs that were going on in the finales, the Tavon one was the funniest because just like so transparent what was going on there. But yeah, it made me laugh too because I'm just like, really, we're gonna still fixate on that? I mean, I get it,
which is great. Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's just funny that we would. It's like, okay.
We still do it to this day. Every time, like Gumball or Gemini.
It's kind of like how in Family Feud, the current incarnation with like Steve Harvey, they still fixate on this one contestant who went for the following question: name something that follows the word pork. You pine.
I know that one. I'm a family.
Everyone's still fixated on that, and I'm just like, you'd think it'd be old hat by now, but I get why it's not. That is an iconically terrible answer because, I mean, I know porcupine, but that's like a terrible joke right there, right?
Dude, I am a. Let me guys know if you're a Family Feud doom scroll. I sometimes watch it.
Man, you have no idea how many compilations that I see. Like, it is like if I don't suffer from anxiety, that show is why. Because man, it's brightening up my day every time. Some of the answers that they give these things. Name something that was designed by men. Sorry, name something that women wear because it was obviously designed by men because it's uncomfortable but sexy. Texas, Steve. Texas. Good answer.
I don't know that one.
It's up there. Hold on. Just tell me what you said. Texas, Steve. Yeah, Texas.
Name a-
You heard the state. The state of Texas. Yeah. Texas. Mm-hmm. That's a good answer, Steve. Watch it. I just love it. You know, he had nothing and he was just trying to get on YouTube. It worked. Yep, that one's a great one too. Steve had great hosts for Fantasy all the damn time. I'm gonna say it. Steve Harvey's the best. He is just the best. Richard Dawson, no disrespect, but you cannot top Steve Harvey. He is just. That one's a great one too for Family.
We're gonna go on a Family Feud reference here. Yeah, my God, it's just that's perfect. So cool. All right, so on that note, just a good finale overall. All right, on to the top 5. So you guys are getting your predictions. It's actually kind of been all over the place. At the top 5, we have the most. I won't say that it's very tough. Maybe not the closest final 2, but the most dominant final 2. And I think that alone not only makes the season like super, super well received by most people, but especially the finale. We have the finale of T versus Megan. And Gumball, I know you haven't seen season 14 yet, but like, what's your thoughts on like when you get there? It's like, what are your thoughts on like the Battle of Goliaths going at it? You know, just these two behemoths.
Yeah, like I'll be very interested to see like how they're portrayed on the show. I mean, Megan in particular, like I know is a very highly regarded winner.
At least.
So I'll be very interested to see like how like the show presents her in particular, like seeing like how like they like edit her. But yeah, like it'll definitely be fun seeing like two like very solid chefs like just like cruising through the season until they have this like collision course at the end.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And you know, it's just other than that, there's not that much going on. I feel again, Ultra, you can back me up here, but just like it's hard to overlook just how iconic this final 2 is. But yeah, Ultra, like, and obviously you have Megan and T. That alone probably deserves a top 10, and over here top 5 compared to the audience. But what about the season 14? Do you think it makes it this high as well, if anything?
It probably is that final 2. I personally, given it's kind of low on highlights, I have it at 12th, so it's literally at the halfway point for this list. I don't have anything against the finale. I can't say it has all that many highlights personally for me, but. Megan and T are just a very captivating group of finalists anyway, so that alone kind of propels it. For me, though, my favorite part of the finale is not before the service, and it's not even the service. It's the epilogue. The epilogue is kind of what brought it up as high as it did because you got 2 things that Gordon Ramsay mocks. One, how many challenge losses that Megan had. I'm like, yeah, rubbed in her face, like right as she wins the season. So who cares how many battles I lost? I won the war. But also apparently the funniest thing for everybody that season, especially the blue team, Cameron's exit. They mocked that, which.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Again, it's in the epilogue. You might have left by that point because.
Epilogue.
Like the credits are rolling at that point, but. No, I did watch all of it, and I'm just like,
there we go. That's why you do. That's funny. A Cameron reference at the end of the season. Well, you thought Tavon was interesting, then you have Cameron. So there you go. Could you imagine if they'd done Cameron type thing? He's a real winner.
It's like I got flustered. You were like hovering over my shoulder. It's like, Cameron, are you just asking to give your jacket up?
Yeah. All righty. Yeah. So that's the thing. I can't argue with it being this high. Like again, I think it's just I'm. I think season 14 is a little bit overrated for that reason. It's just with how talented it can be for its own good. But like in this case, when you're really talking about the finale, like you can't really argue the fan base putting it at the top 5. All right. At number 4, we have the most iconic finale of the new era. And that, I mean, I don't know what else to say other than that kind of gives it away. Our first season we ever covered live, the finale live, is the finale of season 22, which, fun fact, was number 2 on this list up until yesterday. I remember, Monday. I remember I gave one final chance for people to vote, and I actually kind of pushed it out of the top 2. So now it's number 4. Still obviously very high, but yeah, it was number 2 for the longest time. But yeah, I mean, we've obviously raved about this enough. We were all here for that. We won't spend too much time on it. Again, obviously the great bromance of Ryan and Jonathan, and the fact that, you know, Ryan making his American dream come true. People may hate it for the season for that reason, but just like, it's still a cool storyline. And like seeing Jonathan's like kind of fall, but not really. Just a down in final 2. Similar to season 19. It's so cool to see everyone back. It's just like, just so much fun. So yeah, Gumbo, obviously this was your first finale you watched live. What's your best memories of this?
Just again, like I feel like it's a very strong final 2. I feel like considering that this was a very strong cast from a competition standpoint, I just think it was again like sort of like these 2 giants going at it, like seeing 2 very strong chefs, 2 very strong leaders, like battling it out and seeing who wins. And yes, in hindsight, like you can see like the Ryan win like as being more apparent, but I do think in the moment, like you do see like Jonathan as a very solid competitor, someone who I think probably would have been a very deserving winner had he won. But like I think just seeing like the strength of this final 2 like was interesting by itself.
Ultra, anything to add to that for season 22 finale?
So I was on record for saying that as great as the reputation for season 22 was, that I thought it was maybe a touch overhyped, not because the actual season's bad. It's not at all. It's just there was always one thing about it that got under my skin. It's just how much and how unnaturally they kept bringing up the theme of the season, the American dream. And I'm not going to act like that doesn't still annoy me. It does. If you can get past that, yeah, top tier season. I personally like seasons 6 and 12 a little more, but it gets damn close. I'll grant that. If you take out the theme. And I probably should at this point because I was rewatching these.
I was going to say, because like if you may hate all you want throughout the season, but you can't deny that it's like the perfect full circle that Ryan has as American Dream.
Yeah, let me get to that because I was wondering like, well, what am I going to think of the theme now when I rewatch this finale? And I instantly love the finale, like straight out the game, because it felt like it immediately follows the teams all being selected, like not drama following that from like a long time, like what season 10 did. No, like it's literally like the teams have been picked. We're just going to get to figure out the menu and who's on what team, and it opens with Ryan drawing a picture of Jason on his board, and it's a penis. I mean, granted, we don't see the penis. They censor it out with a picture of an eggplant. So I'm going to make the educated guess it's a semi-accurate illustration, which just makes it funnier because I'm like, oh my god, they actually were prepared to almost show that. I got double, like I didn't see this on the uncensored part of YouTube, which makes no sense. It's uncensored. Why are you covering the picture up at this point? Let us actually see what he drew. But that is just freaking funny to me. It probably was like a crude drawing or something, I don't know, but either way, it made me laugh just given the reputation that Jason had that season. And then I suppose if you could argue a second annoying, very big quotation marks here, annoying thing that kept getting brought up all season aside from the theme, it's how much Jonathan loves his little girl Saxon. Because for a lot of people, aside from being like damn near flawless all season until Black Jackets, that was all people knew about him. And if anybody is annoyed that that's all you got out of him, then I'm sorry. This finale justifies them both completely because we then see his daughter, and oh my god, Saxon is fucking adorable.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I take it all back. She's precious. You deserve to talk about her as much as you do. Like, oh my god, I just want to pinch her cheeks.
I mean, you just
kids can be cute all the time, granted, but even then, I'm just like, yeah, like perfect, like.
That's what I'm saying. Even people who don't like stuff like Jonathan and Saxon, like you can't help but love that moment. People don't like the American.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was just like, you know what? You won me over.
That's just why the season's so iconic.
Yes.
That's why this season's so iconic. Stuff that shouldn't work works in the end. It's just in this.
And then, of course, there is the theme because you got Ryan winning. But here's the thing: if you're curious where I have this finale,
what
it's at the top. It's number one.
There we go.
It's number one for me.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna deduct the point because they do still repeat the theme a lot, and I don't care. I really don't. I mean, okay, it doesn't.
There you go. You see it now. Let's go.
But the finale is that good to me that it doesn't actually take away too much from it. Like, because you see Ryan doing as great as he does with his Final Brigade, and also there is a callback briefly to Hellish Hangover. You know, that episode, which I think is fantastic anyway. So, yeah, it really does justify the theme. I suppose in the season overall, you could just say it fractionally less, like maybe once or twice at most an episode, but that's it. Also, congrats for Ryan.
Yeah, I saw that just recently.
But otherwise, if the finale was trying to justify my annoyances, good job. Congrats. You've earned the top of the podium. Good job.
Yeah, I know. I think that's the thing. As someone who kind of went in blind, had a feeling. I think when it's all said and done, again, they're just. This probably I think I agree with Ultra. This has probably number one for me. It's just like the ultimate culmination. Again, maybe I'm a little biased to it being the first finale we covered live, but just like I don't know. But regardless, yeah, congratulations to Ryan as well. I don't know if you guys saw, obviously the comments are saying right now he has a baby coming away. So congratulations to Ryan. So he's definitely had his dream come true. And yeah, but while it's one for us, it is number 4 in the rankings. And like I said, it was number 2, right? And let's be honest, I think we all know number 1 was never not going to be number 1, but whether you agree with it or not. But unfortunately, that those little last votes kind of did in, but still very high here, number 4. On to the top 3, which are the same top 3 for the season rank. Or no, excuse me. The season 14 was higher. Still 3 of the top 4. Ultimately, the Golden Era seasons take up the top 2, and at number 3, still very beloved, is season 12. Yeah, I mean, obviously kind of like a good mixture of everything we talked about so far. A great final 2. You're happy Scott won, and you kind of had feeling Scott was going to win, but still very, very neck and neck the entire time. Of course, rest in peace, Jessica, but her pulling a Dan like 2.0 wasn't as shocking, but still kind of fun to see. Nice old Scott just have enough and just show why he won in the end. Jason was Jason himself. Again, talk about 2 season arcs like we talked about earlier. The fact that Jason actually had his finale come true. Yes, he didn't win, but he just as great as Jason was, like the fact that Scott pulled it off in the end, just so iconic. So, yeah. Gumbo, you've watched most of the season, but not the finale, right?
Not really season 12. No, I'm still on season 11.
Chat, we got to get Gumbo to watch all the seasons. I know he's busy with the Traders and Survivor, but we got to get him to binge watch Hell's Kitchen so he can.
He's a busy man. I'm a busy man too. That's why my output can be pretty slow sometimes.
I know. I'm just saying we gotta motivate him because you gotta watch the season 12 finale for sure. But okay. we will go to someone who has season Ultra, which you obviously season 12 is your favorite season, but it's not quite your favorite finale. Where is it?
Season 22 overtook it, but
yeah.
It's second. It is the pairing in general, and it probably helps not just that Scott's very likable, but they actually do portray Jason more antagonistically. Not to the point where you can't like him at all. It is a little funny what they do, but when they have Scott's family come out, you see Jason being a little bit bitter for a second to be like, oh my God, he's got a family he's gonna do. I'm just trying to do this for myself. I'm just like, well. Yeah, that means we're naturally going to root for Scott a little bit more, man. Yeah. But it is just kind of funny how he gets the cross. Like, even when he is antagonistic, I can't find any to hate Jason Zapoltis. He's just funny like that. You do have Scott having the nerve to actually kick out Jessica when he did. I will deduct a little bit of a point because what was this brigade selection thing? You were mostly picking a lot of people who got eliminated far earlier. You didn't snag up Melanie and Rochelle instantly because I would have.
That's the one thing I disagree with. I completely forgot. Like his first 2 picks and Ralph and Chris were really good for him, were they not? I guess Chris kind of struggled a little bit, but they had his back, and I really like that.
I guess things worked out for Scott in the end.
Yeah,
but
I really like
when,
that.
when Rochelle and Melanie immediately asked him, like, oh, isn't that a little sexist? Which I don't think they meant completely seriously anyways. But it is a thing where I'm like, why are you picking these people? Like, they finished, they were among the lowest finishers of these picks. Why are you picking them first? That's weird.
That's just how great he is as a leader, I guess. Yeah.
But it worked out in the end.
Yeah.
And then you also have Sandra being a bit of a problem for Jason because, duh. If anything, that makes a little more sense for why he picked Jessica over Sandra because, I mean, I think he actually did find Jessica a slightly better chef than Sandra anyway. I mean, we don't know, but, I mean, educated guess. But Sandra did hold up Jason's team quite a bit. And, of course, just got Scott's really emotional win. So, yeah, it's just a really good, captivating end to a season that I was with from beginning to end. The closest to losing steam I had with this season might have been the Final Four, which is saying something because I like that episode. It's just the Final Four where things are kind of obvious, but it came off the heels of Joy's rage quit. Like,
yeah,
that is kind of the tip of the exciting highlights, but it's not like the last two episodes were boring. They weren't.
For sure. I've said a million times, there's 20 episodes, really not one bad episode to say the least. And the finale is definitely one of those highlighted episodes for sure. And that's why it is top 3. All right, on to the top 2. Of course, it is 5 and 6. We can pretty much repeat ourselves here. We got, 2 iconic finales, 2 very close. I mean, obviously one finale we all know. Like there was one more obvious winner. In fact, I'll just say it now. At number 2 is not that finale. It is the finale, probably the closest final 2 in Hell's Kitchen history. I don't think I'll ever be topped. And it wasn't just close because they're both inconsistent. No, it was close because they are so freaking dominant, so under the radar where all the other chaos that happened this season. But yeah, at number 2, you guys know by now, season 5, Danny versus Paula. And yeah, Gumball obviously kind of went in blind, I assume. So like, what was your, take watching, the iconic Danny and Paula situation play out week to week?
Yeah, it was interesting. Like I still think Paula is probably the better overall chef on the season. I have her higher ranked compared to Danny, but it was still, again, it was a roller coaster getting there. Like seeing this finale, where first if you have like Paula getting out ahead, like where Danny was like celebrating when he should have been putting his menu together. He ends up losing the he was like celebrating while Paul was putting the menu together. But then Danny got ahead by winning the challenge, like the signature dish challenge. And then both of them proceeded to have like pretty decent services for the most part. Now, Paula did have a bit more of hiccups, but I do feel like both of them like really made a solid case for why they should win. And again, like I do think Danny winning is definitely a bit more interesting than a win, as I feel like Paula was a bit more boring as a presence, as a character at least. But I do feel like Paula still played a very solid game, and I feel like in general this was a mostly solid final 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just said he also got a Danny with the absolute best celebration in Hell's Kitchen history as well. So iconic there. That's the thing. Ultra, of course, is where you come into play if with the moments, but like that's the thing. It's one of those things where it's just like, it may, again, like I said, I may sound like contradicting myself when I say, something like season 21 is boring because it's just Alex, but whereas something like this is just so great. But just like we'll probably never get like this great in a close final 2. It just makes everything like so interesting to watch from beginning to end. Even if it is like a dragged out 2-part episode, even like you're just on the edge of your seat, like every little thing can make the difference. It's just so great, so iconic. And the fact that season 5 is so great within itself, the fact that the finale episodes, obviously, unless something goes really bad, it's never gonna be that low. So, but you're actually pretty low in season 5, all things considered. So where did the finale rank for you?
I mean, not low. I think it's like hair overrated. Like mostly because it's mostly because like while say the Black Jackets are more entertaining in general than something like season 7, they only really focus on they don't focus much at all on the top 2, which I find a little bit frustrating. Like I get they're talented and there's just a little more entertainment value out of the other people. It's just, I don't know, like I'd like to know a little bit more about Danny and Paula in general, and I feel like we're getting shafted with that. That's kind of it. It's otherwise not a bad season at all. I think it's quite good. It's just, that's the one thing that might have propelled it higher. But I mean, at least with something like season 7, which I ironically do have higher than that, it is so chaotic and ridiculous that it kind of what's the wrong word here? Okay, you ever taken like a run and you use up all your momentum really early in the run, but then because of that, you kind of lose momentum later on? That's kind of like what that is. So for me, between the last two entries, they are either at number 7 on my ranking of finales or number 13. And that means one I think is quite good, and the other one I think is not bad, but has a bit of an issue with me. Season 5 is the one I find better. I have it at 7th. Because, yeah, it is a very even battle between Danny and Paula. Ironically, not even the only 2-horse race I can think of. There's another 2-horse race going on in who is the weakest link for Paula's kitchen between Andrea and Lacey. You might think it should be obvious. Lacey, right? Apparently, they are both kind of making equal screw-ups. It's kind of intriguing there. You got Ben making a couple of playful jabs at like Danny's restaurant theme, sounding kind of X-rated. It's called the Velvet Hammer, so it's only really X-rated if you really lean into it like that. But I don't know, I find it kind of funny. It made me laugh. And there is something else iconic about this finale that I think people forget about. I mean, it's not a super major focus in Hell's Kitchen, but it's not unfocused. This was the season/finale that introduced to us the Wall of Fame. You know, that wall that has the pictures of every Hell's Kitchen winner in it. That's a pretty big deal, if you ask me. So, yeah, it propelled it quite a bit. It was a pretty good finale. It's not, again, I can't say it's like incredibly memorable, but it's got some good vibes to it, and just enough drama and screw-ups to where I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I saw this.
Yeah, it's just hard for me not to put this top 5 again, you know, which is just how iconic this final 2 is. But speaking of iconic final 2, well, I still think like seasons like something like a 5 and 22 might be a little bit better than this. Like you can't argue why this is number 1. Of course, at number 1 is season 6. I mean, we won't beat the dead horse on it. I mean, obviously the one-legged Kevin against the one-armed bandit Dave. And that is my only thing. I think it is just a little too obvious that like Dave's winning. But like other than that, it's just like, what else can you say about that? Like one of the greatest stories in television history. Gumball, as someone who went into the season, like, you know, did you know about? I know we kind of talked about. Did you know about the Dave and Kevin storyline, or did you go in blind?
I was aware of it. Like I obviously didn't know all the details, but like it was one thing I at least heard about. But yeah, I mean, I do feel like that's obviously probably one of the biggest strengths to the season in general, but also this finale is like, I do feel like, yes, you have the story of David, like being able to like play this dominant game, despite the fact that he has this injury, but Kevin also had an injury. Like, didn't he like roll his ankle? Like,
yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah.
Both ankles.
Ankle.
I mean, I think they healed up fast. They don't tell you on screen necessarily, but I think it heals relatively quickly because for one thing, they never really focus on it after that first episode or 2 of it happening. But I think I heard about that somewhere backstage. I don't recall for sure though.
Yeah, but regardless, like I do feel like Kevin was like also set up as a very formidable force in the season. And again, it's like I do feel like this is another case of like you have a very strong final 2. I feel like either of them winning would be satisfying in its own right. Like it's not like, even though David has like the better story, it's not like Kevin himself played a bad game. I do feel like at the end of the day, that's probably one of the biggest strengths. It's like this like 2 Goliaths going at each other, with one of them just having like this like great story behind them, and the one with the better story winning like makes it better. But it's also a case where it's like if the other person had won, it also would have been perfectly fine.
For sure. Ultra, anything to add for the season 6 finale other than the obvious as we wrap up?
So this was the last one for me, and I told you I had process of elimination. It was either going to be this or season 5. That would be at numbers 7 or 13.
Yeah, so your hot take to finish off. I like it. Let's see.
I want to be clear. It's not a merit against the season. The season's still amazing, and it is a fantastic setup and a fantastic finish. And there are actually a pretty fair amount of good highlights in this, aside from even just the winner. You got Robert lashing out quite a bit. You got Amanda screwing up on several stations in Kevin's kitchen, and thus him having to have Van take over all of them, which is funny in and of its own right. So why did I hold it back so much? It's kind of the execution. And on one hand, this is a good thing, but it's also very clearly transitional what they do, given how it's presented. So you might notice this was actually the first finale ever that we had that did not deal with recreating the restaurant. They nixed it. We never saw it again, which good. We didn't need it anymore. Seriously, like, why are we still focused on this? I don't give a crap. But that, I think, is something they were trying to work around because they tried adjusting the flow of the finale as is. And I think it goes by a little too fast. Like, for such a titanic duo to have in this finale, I wanted to feel that weight. And I'm going to be honest, going into service, I didn't feel that weight. Like, if you're watching the season like as a marathon, you will. But I wasn't. At least not for this re-looking I was doing. I was looking at just the finales. And because I'm just like, we reached this point ridiculously fast. I mean, on one hand, I prefer that to having my time wasted and prolonged, like with something like season 11. But I don't know. It can work wrong in the opposite direction too, I think. Like, give me more of that build-up. I'd argue more of the build-up came after service ended between these two, which I guess makes up the difference. But I don't know. I want to rank it higher because it is a fantastic season. I love Dave. I love this. I love how everything's been built up for this matchup. It's just take your time with it. You got this amazing narrative to go off of. Don't squander it. That's all I'm saying.
Ultra with a hot take, but you got lucky. I asked if I should eject you in stream, and you got lucky. Most people said no, so I almost ejected you there with such a hot.
I'm sorry. Why is it the least bit surprising I have hot takes? Do you know
That's
me?
True, yeah.
I do have hot. Like, and for record, it is my job to justify those hot takes, and no one's job to agree with them. If you happen to agree with them, okay. If you don't, okay. As long as everybody's being civil about it, I don't mind. It's my opinion. I'm just trying to say what I feel as eloquently as I can. So if you respect my opinion, great. I respect yours. This is just where I land on it. And it does not detract from how great season 6 is as a season. Like, I have more of a fondness for season 12, but, it's season 6.
Yeah.
Like, how much bad can I actually say about it?
Yeah.
Like, the worst thing I can say about any of the people is that the worst chef on the season, as both a chef and person, goes home before the first episode ends. It's already great. Love it.
There we go. Yeah, in a kind of fashion too.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah. All right, guys, that was an amazing stream. So that is all 23 seasons of Hell's Kitchen finales ranked. Just to go through one more time, from last to first, season 13, season 16, season 2, season 17 All-Stars, season 11, season 15, season 8, season 7, season 1, season 20, season 3, season 21, season 4, season 23, season 19, season 18, season 9, season 10, season 14, season 22, season 12, season 5, and season 6 is chosen by you all, the 23 finales of Hell's Kitchen. And that brings us into tomorrow, where we will crown a new Hell's Kitchen winner, another Hell's Kitchen finale we can talk about. Although technically it already, again, if you do count the part 2s, it already started. But nonetheless, we will finish it up tomorrow for one final time, and we crown a new winner, which, of course, like I said, guys, the last year's winner, Kyle, will be joining us. Of course, remember, he was supposed to join us last year. Someone got sick. So let's just hope nothing happens to him this time and he can join us. And yeah, guys, we will see you at this time tomorrow night, where we will have the newest Hell's Kitchen winner be joining us, and of course joined by Kyle. It's going to be fun. Thank you all for joining the stream tonight, and we will see you all tomorrow. Have a good one.
Yeah, carpe diem.